So things should be fine now. Oh my god. No, not this one. Reload. Retard. So this should be the game. Oh, it's pretty smooth. I like it.
Holmes! Holmes, will you stop that?
Oh, wait. Oh no, it's gonna do. Okay, never mind. So yeah, I don't need this. I can close that. We can put it right here. Yep, less tabs. We can focus on the game. So I have my tablet down here, and we should be able to look at the
You
game.
are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfold.
Too much mic. That should be fine.
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter.
Now say...
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The Merry Men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone then.
This seems to be good enough. This much? Am I heard? Yep, that should be done and done.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
You go along to Peter Carey's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
That should be cool.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream, but I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... oh dear.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
Okay, I need to fix something. Okay. Okay, I don't know what to do. Okay, let's just go back to the game. Can't toggle my mic.
Thank you, madam.
Mr. Holmes?
These footprints appear to be quite large.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool.
Heard again. I guess that's fine. Hello. No, wait. Here should be the one. No, this one. This should be the one. I just need to pick up my hearing and now this. And I can hear.
What a terrible way to die.
Hawks died standing up. If I need to do something. See here. You're supposed to try this thing. Press the button carefully. Okay.
Someone drank from this glass recently. Someone drank from this glass recently. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work.
What could it be?
This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture.
If you exit this part, your progress will not be saved. Exit anyway. Yep.
Rum, a sailor's drink. It seemed that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death.
I know it's drink. And this is not still.
JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook.
We can try and open it. Okay, Holmes. Holmes, open it.
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey. These abbreviations mean something, but what? This wooden handle is plain and solid. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong.
Now back to this.
Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors. Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. The murder weapon was probably taken from this rack. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain.
What's this? Oh, find a pair of related. Break an attempted notebook. Make an ambush. The ambush must be made tonight.
Ha! Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches.
I just saw it. We got this tobacco pouch, Carey's boot, footprints. Shell. Seriously empty.
This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book. A box or a small chest, perhaps. Dundee. Dundee. It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky,
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oof, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us. It seems that the garden was well maintained.
We need to find a good place for an ambush. Perhaps behind Carey's cabin, near the window.
Mr. Holmes?
It seems that the garden was well maintained. This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Yes, finally found it. Oh, I want to check on something, so just wait here, peeps. Well, I'm good.
Did you hear that?
There is.
There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there!
Oh, run, run. Run, Holmes, run.
Mr. Holmes.
Who's inside?
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
Oh my god, the
What?
vehicles.
But you can't! I'm not... It's a terrible mistake!
And you're truly
Enough.
lying.
You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector, but please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning.
This should be the place where magic's
Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Can I help you?
Good morning, Constable. I would like to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight through. His belongings are held in the evidence room.
Thank you.
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
Let's go talk to this guy. Let's go for the sea knife.
The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know! I didn't kill anyone!
Liar, liar, pants on flyer.
Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh, no. I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out eventually, Mr. Nelligan.
Oh, look at all these things I need to find. Shabby cab. Over there.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Please let me go. I'm innocent.
No one asked. No gardener. Jude Carey says that her husband took care of the garden himself. That does not sound feasible. She might be hiding something. Breaking into she's attempts to break in according to descriptions of the dog. Swift actions. Peter Carey was armed this night. He did not have the time to use it to murder it quickly and deceptively. Peter's scared body was nailed to the wall and hung to the chest like a butterfly. Milligan's notebook. A notebook with blood stains covering the cabin full of blood after the murder belongs to Milligan. Hmm. Okay. Okay.
I need to stage a reconstruction. I'm sure that Watson would be happy to oblige.
You are one of the main suspects for now. That is how we knew when. Oh wait, no. Is approximately 19 years old. He was raised in love, but after the dissertation of his father 10 years ago, he was informed infidelity. He worked and earned his money by cleaning fish, despite undertaking such manual work for considerable time. Milligan remains physically weak. Hmm? Outline, yes. Box, shoes. You should travel by to Baker Street.
These are the suspect's belongings. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. From R. Dawson. To my friend and partner, 1883. Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer. A handkerchief with the initials JHN. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor. These abbreviations mean something, but what?
This shall be indefinite action. Okay, okay. Hello, hello. This too low. This one. This would be fine. This guy has a gold ring.
The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner. So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
It's not.
Never mind.
Oh wait, what? You failed.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
Not though.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father.
Good one.
With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
Nice one.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Well, we have nothing new with the fire, but our platform is as well. Oh my god. Street Archives of Dr. Mr.
A spot of whaling, Watson? Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No. But we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's murder.
A reenactment, then? Is something bothering you?
The sailor's knife, Watson. Why was it on the floor?
Peter Carey attempted to defend himself?
It is possible. But if that is the case, then it alters many things.
I don't quite follow you.
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man, morphologically, I mean?
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before. On the Ripper case, I believe. Do you want to slit some more pigs' throats?
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson, let us pay a visit to our butcher friend in Whitechapel. We require the carcass of a well-fed pig.
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do quite nicely. That is not the one. That is not... That... That...
Good. Chemistry, not poison, toxin. No. Fingerprints, human,
That...
okay. Scientific, no. Martial arts, no. Marks and symbols, religious designs, stuff,
That... That...
Nope.
That...
Nope.
That...
Nope. What? First, yeah.
That is not the one I need.
Never mind. No, this is the one. Northern Investment Fund Bank, Northern Message Conference, Northern Investment Fund, and the regional banking institution based in Cornwall has declared bankruptcy. As a result of heavy losses, it is a loan portfolio and has accordingly been assigned for liquidation. For the 23rd largest banks in Britain, the bankruptcy was the second largest and the precedent record in the liquidification of the company. Pure catastrophe for many Cornwall families. Joshua Norton is one of the bankers, has since mysteriously disappeared. He was last seen aboard the yacht, preparing for the departure of Norway and Mulligan. That should be the one.
Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him. I need to take a harpoon with me.
Oh, sure. Crimes and punishment. Hmm. Now, we needed the harpoon, and the only way to get that is from here.
That should do it. Now I am ready for the experiment.
Yeah, sure, let's do that. But I'm gonna need to be checking on something, some stuff. I have been kicked from here since I'm AFK. Okay, we've done that. Just wait for me, guys. I just need to check some stuff up. might switch this wrench. Watson.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise. Yet.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test.
Yes, yes. Almost.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
Scotland Yard questioned
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes, Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht, just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.
I want to get a good. Oh, that's not a good wall either. Go back to Baker Street, search again. It's ruined.
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My archive. I can
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
This is where I keep my post.
Please don't. Oh God, I hate you. This will be it. Options. Main menu. Do you really want to quit? Save point will be lost.
My archive. I can always consult with it if need.
Move, run, open casebook, launch Sherlock talent T. Oh yeah. Launch imagination. I don't know that. First grade person view. I know that. Open instruction space. Perform action. Select action. F1 help. On walk. Yeah, wait, no, I need help.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
Main menu though. Do you really want to quit? The menu of progress since the last save point will be lost. I don't know where's the last save point. I don't want to talk anymore. But I guess that shall be the end